Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Friendship Public Charter Schools Parent University series. I am Charmaine Carter, the Director of Parent Relations, and I just want to welcome you to our platform. If you haven't liked our page already, please like our page, Friendship Public Charter School. You can find us on Facebook, you can find us on all social media platforms, and you can visit our website at www.friendshipschools.org. I am very excited to introduce to you Brett Gottlieb. She is our manager of alumni retention and support. And today we are going to discuss matched and fit for college success. If you are a parent of an upperclassman who is preparing to go to college, they're probably talking about college, they're probably talking about what they've heard or what their friends have gone to, but is the colleges that they're looking at really a good fit for them? And so we're going to talk about that today as we approach the college application month, October. I'm very excited about that. So without further ado, I will pass it along to you, Brett.
Thank you, Charmaine. I'm so excited to be here and with you guys this evening. So as Charmaine said, my name is Brett Gottlieb. Kids call me Brett, Miss Brett a lot. And I am the manager for alumni retention and support. So I support both Friendship Collegiate and Friendship Tech Prep graduates. Basically, we say to and through college, but it's really to and through, basically after post high school success, whatever that looks like to your scholar. That's what I'm here to support you and your scholar on their journey after high school. So we're going to talk about match and fit today. This is a really good starting point for if you have a student who's a senior as they start ramping up and doing applications next month. Well, next month, which is like tomorrow. But it's also really good if you have younger students, 11th grade, 10th, 9th. This is really a great time to be thinking about what is a good fit school look like. And so I'm just going to provide just some information about and just some different language to use and questions to think about as you and your students explore like what it means to go to college and what do you want from a college experience. Okay. So the match and fit process, there's 3 steps. Understanding and researching fit, it's like the biggest one. Knowing where you stand, which is really about the match, and then putting it all together, the match and the fit. So step 1, understanding and researching fit. So there are 3 primary components of fit, of a good college fit. They're academic, social, and financial. And ideally, you want to attend, I'm speaking about like you want your scholar to attend a college that meets all 3. It doesn't mean that they're all going to be the number 1 in each fit component, but it should be something that they are a good academic fit, a good social fit, and a good financial fit. So those are the 3 things we're going to talk about in more detail. First, though, it's understand how to do this research. If you if you have a senior in high school, your student has probably already gotten a lot of glossy brochures in the mail. A lot colleges, get on like the mailing list from like SAT and different things and like that. And they just start sending out tons of mail. I think now probably it's a lot of email nowadays. But it's just kind of being inundated with all sorts of schools that maybe they never heard of, or schools that they know they have either an older sibling that's gone, or cousin or friend. There are all these different ways that we kind of get like our college lists and are interested in what college and figure out what colleges we're interested in. What I really want to give you guys and empower y'all to do is do this fit research. to do the exploration, because the more you put into it on the front end, the more successful that your scholar will be in terms of graduating from college. Because we are not at Friendship, we are not about just getting into college. It is about getting in and persisting and graduating with a college degree. So, and the more you put in the front end in this research, the more likely that your scholar is to graduate successfully, and hopefully in 4 to 5 years. But six years is kind of the average right now. So basic research is just that easy, like stuff that comes to you, comes to the house. It's, just really easy to find on just any website. Naviance. We'll talk about Naviance in a second. And sorry, just 1 second. Let me know is that better? So the idea of doing this, going beyond the basics, like more than just like when a college representative comes to your campus, or what's like posted around the school, and that you're not in the school now, but that you get from your college and career counselor or your counselor. That sort of information is that basic, easy to find information. To really go deeper, you need to be really thorough. A college's website is my number one place for information. There's so much that you and your scholar can find, and even we'll talk about for each of the components, but really the college's website, and also some secondary sources, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. It's really, you want to be informative, it's meaningful, it's not just surface level. You want to go deep, you don't want to be superficial. So it takes time, but it definitely yields the most robust college list for your scholar, and that is really leads to a college list and that they are excited about, and that really is a good academic, social, and financial fit. So here are just some of the resources, and I hope that if we can share this on the Facebook page separately, some good resources to do this fit research. So bigfuture.org is College Board's website. It's great. You can do they have lots of information about all the colleges, in the country, and they have a really great search tool that is really, you can just get really deep into what your scholar's interests are, major, location, the size of the school, what sort of academic resources the school has, fraternities, sororities, that sort of thing. And it really narrows it down for the student also. So that's a good one. Collegeresults.org is my favorite. I could literally do an entire presentation just on collegeresults.org, but it's very data heavy. So it's using information from the Ed Trust, and it just gives basically, as it says, college results, college graduation rate information. So the percentage of students who started a college for their first year that graduate within 4 to 6 years. 6 years is their baseline. But, and it's a really good comparative tool. I always say with any of these statistics and things like that, statistics are not it's not necessarily, it's just a good idea. It's not saying that like, this is exactly how it's going to be for you, but it just gives you a good idea of how it might be, how other students were not successful, or what can kind of drill down and figure out even gender, race. It has all these different income levels of research metrics that you can drill down to at College Results. It's fantastic. So I'm happy to do any follow-up College Results information with you guys. College Scorecard is run by the Department of Education. It's similar to College Results, but it's more broad, and it's really user-friendly. We're going to take a look at it in a second. And then Naviance. This is the go-to for your student. I have both the collegiate and tech prep logins, the website to log into. This is where all your student will track all of their college information. Naviance has really great search tools and information, a lot, and they've actually updated very recently. So there's like so much information on each school, including cost of attendance, down to graduation rates, popular majors, and everything in between. So these are really good websites, and there's more. If you go onto Naviance, there is a page on the Naviance that says tool websites for fit research. And so there's even more that you can find on there. So in terms of the fit research, power to select, that your scholar knows that they are going to, that they've done the research, they've done the work, that they know that they will be successful and happy at the college of their choice, which leads to college success. And also it's important with this power to impress, especially now this year. A lot of colleges are not requiring the SAT because of COVID. And so the personal, like the real personal statement recommendations, like who your student is really important all the time, but especially this year. And being able to really have done your research, being able to speak to admissions counselor or write in, your essay, and being really specific and tailoring that to the school and what you're looking for to both getting out of the school and giving to the school. Doing that research makes that even stronger. So, understanding fit. We have the academic. This is all about, what do I want to study? If I'm, what is my ideal learning environment? Do I want to be in, a small class or a large lecture hall? And this is just questions, a lot of this, talking with your scholar about just having them think about classes that the class, like their, high school career, what classes and what teachers, like which ones did they really vibe with? Did they feel like they were able to just get a lot more out of being in a small discussion class, or when the, teachers do more kind of like discussion groups or in small group settings, or do they kind of appreciate being a bit more kind of anonymous in like a larger lecture hall? The academic challenge of the college, also just the idea of like, a really, if students are more competitive or more collaborative, if it's, just those are some questions for the student to think about. Deciding to change major. Most students who go in to their first year with one major in mind end up changing it to something else by the time they graduate. It's just, that's part of what college is really figuring out what it is that you're really interested in and what it is that you are most excited about pursuing a career in. And the exposure and awareness and taking these different classes and participating in different activities and internships, that's what helps you figure that out. So just that there are different options and that there are other academic programs. So I don't love students to be totally focused on, they have my major, because your major will very likely change. So just thinking about kind of the basic research versus the fit research, not just majors offered, but looking actually at classes, the actual like names and descriptions of classes, what excites them in the major, what classes are needed. All of this is found on the website. You go to the department and department page, you can look and see who the different professors are, get professor bios. Maybe, the professor, there's a professor doing research on something, a subject that your scholar is really interested in or is really exciting. So like those kinds of things make this really dynamic and make the school something that isn't just like, okay, like I can major in psychology, but oh, there's a professor that's doing research on blank, blank, and blank. So that is really important. Looking at the different academic supports, this is huge. I want to make sure when a student is looking at a school that they are going to have the resources that they need to be successful, whether it is tutoring, the writing center, just getting extra academic supports. All of that stuff is really important and should be easy to find, easily accessible on the website. Thinking also about just like career and jobs and like what their career services office is like, what their webpage is like the more robust it is, like I don't think that they're if it's not really robust online, if there's not like a really great online presence, I don't think that there's a likelihood of there being actually a really robust office. So just to keep that in mind, like you can judge a lot about the school and what their offerings are based on the website. Social fit, this is an important one too, right? It's not just about your major, it's about whether or not your scholar is going to feel comfortable on campus, gonna, kind of really have that's like that. When we think of fit, that's when we think really of like the fit is the social fit. What town, city, what's the location like, what activities are popular, is Greek life like really big, is that something that's important to them? If it is, if they want to go to football games, if that's like an important part of the culture. So all these things go into the social fit. Basic research, right? We know clubs, organizations, when you get the glossy brochure, it lists like all the clubs that are there or different sports that are offered. But let's get a little bit more, let's get a little bit deeper, right? And let's get more into what are the different housing options? Is there something that's going to make the student comfortable? Either, single gender housing or open gender housing, the presence of Greek life, looking and see what sororities and fraternities are there, if they're on campus, off campus, different things around just the college culture. And a great thing that I think is really a great way to do this is to go onto the website again, because I'm a broken record, but to look at what the calendar is and just look at the different events that are happening. This year is a little bit different because, there are a lot of schools that are in session, but not necessarily doing so many group events. But even looking in past years or things like that, just seeing like what's offered in the events and just kind of gives you an idea if there's a lot of like sports, a lot of like that school spirit, or if there's a lot of like lectures, academic, a lot of social justice, community service opportunities to help your student kind of understand what the culture of that campus is. So financial fit is super important. I like to say that you never want to not look at a school, like you never want to cross a school off the list because of sticker price. Okay, so you never want to cross it off in this initial step of researching colleges, because very, very, very few students ever pay the sticker price of a college. Whether it's using financial aid, oftentimes the schools, there's a lot of internal, both need-based aid, so based on income, and also merit aid, DC TAG, we have the DC CAP and College Success Foundation. There's so many different programs that offer scholarships with our students. It's just very, very rare that your scholar will pay, that you will pay, or you asked to pay the sticker price. Things to think about: total cost of attendance, so tuition, room and board, housing and meals. What percentage of students receive need-based financial aid? Can I afford to attend this college with manageable loan debt? Some loan is fine. It's important to understand that into this day and age, unless it is very unlikely that that there'll be that your scholar will take out zero loans during their college experience. We want to minimize loans and take out manageable loan debt, responsible loans, but this is something that's really important to look at and really think about, what that cost of attendance is, what your likely. So there's a couple of things we can do. There's the FAFSA, which I'm not going to get into now, but that's the financial aid application, the free application, do not pay for it, for federal student aid. And there's a FAFSA forecaster, so you can at any time go and kind of do your FAFSA, kind of plug in information to see what your family's expected family contribution will be. So you can do that. There's also the aid calculators on most college websites, where you can put in some basic income information and then see likely what the student will be, your scholar will be eligible for in merit or need-based aid. And the other big thing is not just what your scholar and the family is going to be putting in terms of the investment, but also what is the return on your investment, on the student's investment, even if it's a full ride. Like, that's still a lot of time spent, and that huge investment of time and money and all the things, right? What is the return on that investment? And collegeresults.org, College Scorecard, all have really good the financial outcomes of students. So those are great to look at, percentage of students who are have like default on their loans, percentage of students who pay off their loans within like 10 years. So there's just like lots of good information, the percentage of students or average salary 10 years after graduation, different things. Like, there's a lot of those statistics on collegeresults.org and College Scorecard. So those are some really good things to look at. I kind of just went into this. Financial fit is just how much, right? Fit research is how much is it really going to cost to attend? How easy is it to get in touch with the financial aid office? If anyone has gone to college, had a child in college, just how sometimes difficult it is to get the financial aid officer on the phone. And so that's a really important part of this. Percentage of students receiving need-based aid, how work study, the options work, and average loan debt upon graduation. So those are all things that you can find on the websites, as well as some of the sites that I posted earlier. So at a minimum, these are the questions to think about. Will I get in? Will I get out? Will I get out? How long will it take? Remember, we said 4 to 5 years. Sometimes it can take 6, and we want to keep it as close to 4 as possible. How much will it cost? And so this is not just how much does it say it costs on the website, but how much is it going to cost me? How much will I make? So again, this isn't you specifically or your scholar specifically, but how much, does the average student, is that average salary after graduation, and will I enjoy it? That's, I think, that's a huge one, right? So at a minimum, this is just a way to kind of think about good fit, this fit funnel, thinking about what are the things that are really important to your scholar, and then narrowing down even more, and then narrowing down even more, right? So narrowing down which are the ones that really are important, and then how do you ask those questions either on campus visits or when you do virtual visits, when representatives come to the school. So then the know where you stand, this is the matching part. This is really about what you, GPA, SAT scores, that sort of things, right? Those are the understanding your profile and understanding the college's profile. So every college has their like admissions profile, which is like number of applicants, number of admitted students, their average GPA and test scores, SAT or ACT, average financial aid package. Those are just like some good like numbers to have and to know. And then, but you also, it's very important. And I can't tell you how many times I've talked to seniors and I'm like, what's your GPA? And they don't know. It's very important to know your GPA, because, you know, well, at the end, you'll see what you're going to have are these average, you're going to have your match schools, your reach schools, and your likely schools. And so that's a really important part of the match piece, as where, your basically where your profile, is in comparison to the school's admissions profile. Really quick, under matching, this is something that, I see all the time, and we don't want to do it. When an academically qualified student chooses a college that is less selective than their academic ability. So it's very important that your scholar understands their profile and their academic profile, and applies to schools that are actually going to challenge them and be a good match for them and not an undermatch. We have a lot of students who end up undermatching, and students are less successful, when they undermatch at a school. So the last step is just putting it all together. This is what I was talking about, right? So thinking about the academic, social, and financial fit, right? You want to have at the end in terms of applying. So going into October, thinking about really through October and into November, it's not too late, but you want to have really 1 to 2 reach schools, or your scholar 2 to 3 strong matches, target schools. So the reach schools are schools, where the admissions profile is higher than yours. This matches and target, those are schools that are really like a good match. Like you are very likely to get in. And like you match what their average is, right? And then safety schools, these likely schools, your profile clearly meets or exceeds the school's criteria for admission. It is super important to know that a safety school is still a school. It might be like a financial, it might be something that like is a school that if you know, if it happens that, your scholar doesn't get the like big scholarship they were hoping to get to like school A, and school B and school C like are both kind of okay, great, but like the safety school, it's super affordable. They would pay nothing. Maybe they do 2 years, get their associates, transfer. So it's just something to think about, that the safety school, even though it's like pretty much a guarantee they're going to get in, it's still a school that they're going to want to go to, and, still be a fit in the other components as well. So that was a lot of info. Please feel free to reach out. My email is here, as well as, each high school has a college and career counselor. So their info is here too. They'll be the ones that are really their go-to contacts, and your go-to contacts while they're in high school, really helping them through the process. I will be around. I like to come and get to know the students, so I'm not like a total stranger when they graduate, and start building those relationships, because that's really, but yeah, so I collaborate with Miss Washington and Miss Jackson, but they're really this next with all the college applications and financial aid and all of that. But I am always a resource, and I will be, you know, we are once in the friendship family, always in the friendship family, and we really support y'all throughout, ever, really forever.
Literally,
And
never.
literally.
I'm glad, because I am so passionate about this subject, and I'm so glad that you're here with me. I am actually an alum of Friendship. I went to collegiate. I was the first valedictorian. I graduated in 2003. But you know, we didn't have a Brett Gottlieb, you know, to give us this raw information. It was a lot of information, but I took so many notes, because I definitely want to address some of those things. The first thing is the undermatching.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, that is so true. There
Mhm.
are a lot of people who do undermatch, because I don't know, maybe it's environmental, maybe it's just they don't believe in themselves. But I'm glad that you broke down the different areas, the academic, the social, and the financial fit. Because especially I think about Beyonce when she did Homecoming, right? And she did her performance, and it just breathed so much college social life and that
Mhm.
culture. And you focus on the social, right? So you think about college, you think about social life. And I know when I graduated from high school, even though I was the valedictorian, I didn't really think about academics. I knew I'm like, wherever I go, I'm going to succeed. But I really didn't focus on a school being an academic fit.
Mhm.
I knew that as an alum, I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. I knew that I wanted to get away from my environment. I needed to go somewhere where it was more slow. And I knew that I wanted to go to the country. So I ended up going to a very small school in the country that was just a complete escape from what I had been used to all my life. But that was really primarily my decision, right? It wasn't about financially. It wasn't, and it wasn't even about social. It was just like me just needing to get away for 4 years and just focus on whatever it is I was focused on. Now, once I got there, I realized like, okay, this is a good academic fit, and yes,
Mhm.
socially, I had it was a culture shock because I went to a predominantly white school.
Mhm.
So being just seeing a couple of African Americans, just seeing a few of them, that was a complete culture shock, but I was able to adapt. So I love that you broke down the different areas. So when you talked about the social profile, like understanding your profile,
Mhm.
what advice would you give to someone who really does not know what they want or what type of profile they are?
So that's I love. So for me, I think that's a huge piece of this is the self exploration, and just really that you can't really know what you want until you know what you want, right? And so I think that's just where, and I think friendship does a really fantastic job starting in probably middle school, but I know for sure ninth grade, doing college visits. And it's really important. And you can even do college visits virtually, right? There's so many different, like YouTube, I think that's like virtualvisit.com. I don't know. There's just a ton of different ways to see schools virtually. And really just start early on, like what do I like what do I like about this school, what don't I like about this school, um, just in terms of like, oh, I really like that there's like a big quad that everyone hangs out on, right? Like that seems exciting to me. Or that's like a little much, like I'd rather just be with my friends like in our dorm like hanging out, right? Like that's not so important. Thinking about how you do in classes, right? Within our, every teacher is different, even though we don't have like, 10-person seminar classes necessarily at friendship. But I mean, just kind of thinking about when you've had those smaller classes and more kind of one-on-one interaction with teachers, doing more research with the teacher, kind of collaborating, that like kind of hands-on, figuring out what kind of learning is best, and that, I mean, it's really about exploration. Naviance has some great like personality quizzes and communication style, leadership style, learning style assessments, just to kind of get you to start thinking more about your strengths and weaknesses and what you like and don't like. But it really is something that it's a part of the process. And that's why I suggest starting at least in 11th grade, if not sooner. I love, ninth grade, starting in high school, right? Just starting to like really start thinking about what makes you excited, what you're like about, and just like being really honest with yourself. It is such a self process, right? Like you, and not like, I know I'm talking to parents, but really it is about the student knowing and advocating and making decisions, just like you made a decision for yourself about where you wanted to go and get away. It's like students being really honest with themselves and not just like listening to the noise and often really helpful and well-meaning advice of parents and teachers and friends, but really listening to themselves.
So what advice would you give to the parent who like, I'm just trying to help, but then they're really just making decisions for them. I think about families who may have a history of going to a certain college, right? Where, you know, from generation to generation, it's like, okay, we've always chosen this college. You're born going to this college, or you're born going to being a part of this sorority or this fraternity. But it kind of takes away from that self-exploration that you mentioned. So what advice would you give to that parent who maybe, even though they're trying to help, it may seem like they're just doing too much?
I mean, we all do the most. So like our job as parents, right? But I think going through these questions with their scholar, just kind of asking them just these like basic questions and having, and I think it's important before, you know, like there are lots of factors that go into the decision of where to go to college, right? But I think just having this initial conversation and just exploration about like, what are you interested in? Like, what are you thinking about? What do you want to do? Like when you like, you know, close your eyes and picture college and like a Friday night, Saturday night, like what are you picturing? Like just kind of getting that information. And I just hope that like, I mean, that you kind of let your scholar, you know, I always like to say like they're driving the car, right? Like they're driving their car. In terms of college, like that's what their independence, like it's hard, but the more, that being said, right, it is super important that parents are and families are really upfront about financial, like what they can or cannot contribute to their child's education. Like it's really important that students understand like that's that financial fit and that match of like, okay, can I actually afford this school? Can I afford, if I want to go to California, who's buying this plane ticket for me 4 times a year? Or if I go to California, you get like one ticket there and you're not coming back. You're finding your own Thanksgiving and winter break and spring break plans because you're not getting a plane ticket home. So it really is a balance between all of that. I don't know if that answered your question, but I think just going through these questions together with an open mind and just, it's a process.
I think also going through the process with your child in mind and not with what you could have done if you were their age. You know, that's really helpful too, because our children, our scholars, they have their own unique personalities. And even though we wish we could have done something, or we want them to kind of learn from our lessons or avoid some of the mistakes that we may have done, they are still individuals and they still have their own journey. And so when we support them, because that's really what we're doing, we're supporting them in the application process as parents, we have to keep them in mind and what it is that they want, and understand their unique personality and their profile for what works best for them, instead of projecting what it is that we want for them.
Right. 100%. And I think the best thing is just to think about the end result is college success, right? I mean, really the end result is like a wonderful, you know, career that, you know, supporting yourself and your family and la-di-da-di-da. But just in terms of this, like college, there's so many things that make college so hard to finish, right? There's so many things: social, academic, probation, financial, like things that happen, you know, family emergencies that, you know, pull us home. And there are all these factors, right? Like it is so, but I just think if your scholar is excited and this is their decision and their choice, they're going to be even more likely to be successful, as opposed to just kind of going along with, you know, just kind of that like drifting with what, you know, okay, I'll just do this, like as opposed to like really designing and being the driver of their college process.
I also liked that slide where you just really recap everything. And the most important thing is, will I get out, right? Like at the end of the day, yes, will I get in, but will you get out? And I know that sometimes when especially when I was in school, like it seemed like that was my life. Like there was no life after high school. And then when I got into college, there was no life after college. It was just here and now. But it is life after college. And with the financial fit piece, I was a first generation student who attended college and who graduated from college. Shout out to my family. Thank you for the encouragement, family. But at the same time, there wasn't a lot of money from my family to support my education. And so I took out a lot of student loans because I was so driven to be that first person to go to college, to break that cycle. And so now, having to pay off student debt, now I'm thinking, I have a son and I have a toddler. I have 2 children, but I'm thinking like, I don't want them to have to go into debt or a lot of debt. Cause you said before, like sometimes you have to take out loans, but
Yes.
they're manageable, but I don't want them to spend the rest of their lives or the best of their lives paying off student loans, you know, so that the college scorecard is really important because it does break down those ratios of like, especially if you want to go into something where the starting salary is like $25,000.
Right.
If you're taking out a loan for $40,000, the ratio is off.
Exactly. I always say it's a good like rule of thumb to not take out more total debt for undergrad, and because graduate school is a whole nother thing, but undergrad that you can expect to make your first year out of college, right? So just kind of keeping that in mind. So right, like if you're gonna be an engineer, then great, but most of us can expect to make like not in the 30s, even 25, 30, 35, 40,000 right after college. Let's not take out 40,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't even take out 40,000 a year. It's the Parent Plus loan that's the parent can take out. This is a whole nother, we won't get into the deep throes of financial aid, but students aren't able to take out loans like they used to, right? Like you get your federal loans and it's real hard to get a personal loan. So parents can take out the federal Parent Plus loan, but that's a whole nother story.
Right. That's a whole nother, we're doing a series on this. We will definitely walk you through the process. This is just the beginning process as you start to explore colleges, or as you hear from people that you may have known that went to colleges. Like this is the time where you're just trying to figure out, where do I apply? And so this is to filter out the process, but we'll also be talking about like the financial aid process that she mentioned.
Yes.
Making sure that you can maximize that experience with little debt, as much money as you can, for free, and college, hopefully for free.
And Miss Washington at Collegiate, Miss Jackson at Tech Prep are phenomenal. They have so many resources. They have financial aid nights, they have scholarship fairs, they have like so much information to help you guys through this, to help y'all through this, because it's a lot. And
if you're not a friendship parent or a friendship scholar, then you can definitely watch this. This is free. You can always follow us on social media. These are the activities that we have. We have different parent university sessions every Wednesday at 5:00, except on holidays. So catch us here, watch the replay, share this video with anyone who you feel can benefit from this, because that's all we care about. We're just supporting our mission. And yes, we want our scholars to get to and through college, but we want your scholar to get to and through college too.
100%.
Little debt.
little debt, exactly.
Right. So thank you so much, Brett.
You are so welcome.
I can continue this conversation on. Be respectful to our families.
And I'm happy again to answer any questions. Email me. Happy to chat.
Yes. So once again, our website is friendshipschools.org. If you have any questions at all, you can email us at wecare@friendshipschools.org, or you can call our hotline at 202-281-1777. Thank you again, Brett. We've enjoyed this. Continue to follow us, continue to like our social media page, and please continue to share this content. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.